Hello, good evening, everyone. This is Nivarti Jairam, and very happy New Year and welcome to Breaking Barriers with Personal Agility. So, this is kickoff session, and we have Anu Ravi. And before we start introducing Anu Ravi, I just want to talk a few minutes about why breaking barriers. In my personal experience, I have always seen that we tend to act on our strengths quite a bit, and probably feel whatever accomplishments we can look at, we base them purely on our strengths. But it only takes us to a certain extent, and if you really want to realize your full potential, what you need to overcome are our limiting beliefs or the barriers that more often than not we create for ourselves. We might blame anybody around us for that, but in the end it actually the onus falls on us for creating those barriers, and also then the responsibility for overcoming those barriers also is on us. So the intent of this particular sessions or series of sessions that we have planned is to bring in experts or people who have accomplished great things in life, and how they have done, how they have overcome their own barriers, and how we can learn from them, probably use what makes sense from what they have done and try to put into practice in our own lives. That is the main goal of breaking barriers. And we are kicking off with a great leader here, so Anu Ravi, great friend. And to introduce her, I think it will take a good amount of time. Anu is enterprise transformation leader and an agile coach. She is a winner of India's Future CIOs from Next 100 for 2020. She is also a leadership agility winner from World Agility Forum, and also a diversity and inclusion winner from Jobs for Her. She is also a triple crown winner from Toastmasters. I think very few people who have that distinction. And she has more than 21 years of experience overall, quite a few certifications, and she is also an NLP coach. Means she's practiced quite a bit on the elements of neuro-linguistic programming, and she is a national vice president innovation for Wiki, and she is also a committee member for GHCI, BCIC, and Jobs for Her, and I can go on and on and on. So thanks a lot for your time, Anu, and welcome to the session.
Thank you so much, Nivarti, for such a lovely introduction. I would want to congratulate you as well. You're also one of the winners of the Next 100 CIO Awards. And to the group, Happy New Year to all of you.
Great. So you have such a big list of accomplishments that we can go on and on. I think I only talked about a few. So what has helped you accomplish all that you have so far?
Good question. So, I think first and foremost, I've got a lovely family who has always supported me, and a lovely set of friends, including you, who constantly encourage and push me. But apart from this, I think I attribute the success to four things in my life. One is that I'm very, very self motivated. So for me, if I'm doing something, it's for myself. So I don't do things for the sake of others, I do it for myself. The second thing is I'm quite determined and passionate about what I do. I just believe that we don't know what's in store for tomorrow. So today is all what we have, and we need to make use of it at our best. The third most important thing is actually prioritization. I think, irrespective of the gender, we live in this VUCA world. So there are a lot of things which come into our day-to-day life. So prioritizing it is very, very key to success. The last one is, I'm always curious and willing to learn. So I was actually mentioning that, I learned how to create a bot, though my job does not involve anything related to actually bot. I love it. That's a new technology, new thing which is coming up in the market. So I would want to have hands-on experience. So some things I do it, I learn it because it's a job requirement, but quite a lot of it I learn it because I want to learn it. So I think these are four things which has helped me to uh, come to wherever I am today.
Wow. Okay. So you also talked about, in our earlier discussions on personal agility, and you're very passionate about it. So how has personal agility helped you at different, stages of your life? Because I know you have been probably a lecturer, then you changed your course and became a developer. From then on, you have grown and become project manager, now agile coach, then an enterprise coach, a transformation leader. So different stages of your career, how has personal agility contributed for your growth?
Sure. So, two things from the personal agility point of view. One is that I'll actually talk about three instances, right, where I had limiting beliefs. People might not believe it, but I'll talk about the limiting beliefs I carried and how I overcame that. And that's one of the aspects of personal agility itself. So, let me give you an example when I actually started off my career, right? So, I was this great college student, engineering college student, getting good grades. Along with my engineering, I also was doing my PGDCA. So obviously, the resultant was that I actually got a software job before even I could get my results. And then the icing on the cake was that Ravi, who is my husband now, actually agreed for the marriage, and all good things were happening. We got married, and he got a seat at IIT Kharagpur, which is like anybody's dream. So we went there, and initial phase was really, really good, happy married life kind of stuff. But slowly boredom started picking on me, right? Here I was just few months before completely engaged from morning till night, and suddenly, apart from cooking, because Ravi was busy with his college assignments, studies, etc., there was nothing much which I was doing. And I had that at that point in time. I also carried a belief that, because I was already working as a software developer, I need to continue developing a project or developing programs. But one day, as usual, when I was cribbing, Ravi asked me a very powerful question. He challenged me, what's that you want to do given the circumstances you are in, or given the environment you are in? That made me think. I knew that I will not get any software jobs in, say, Kharagpur, because it's a small place in West Bengal. Then I decided that I'll actually go ahead and teach MTech students from non-IT background. I actually went ahead and taught programming. I think that was the first twist with personal agility. So Ravi was the champion there, challenging my limiting belief. Towards the mid of my career, obviously after marriage, after all these things, when I returned back to IT industry, I picked up testing instead of development so that I can manage both house and the work front. So I continued, and I did great in testing. I was a test manager doing, responding to clients' needs. But I also thought that, I cannot move into program management because of my background. That's when my skip level manager, offered me a position of APM, the associate project manager. If it were to be anyone else, I would have rejected that offer. But it was just because he had a lot of faith and trust in me, and I did not want to break that trust. I accepted that. But I think now rest is history. I went on to manage a regulatory project where we opened up a branch in Thailand, which consisted of 60 global applications and 10 local applications. The third instance which I can quote was very, very recently. I think some of you know that from my engineering days, I've been traveling a lot to work or to my engineering college as well, right? So I used to travel anywhere between 25 kilometers to 40 kilometers one way. So obviously, I did not get too much time after traveling, working at office, and then supporting whatever is required at the home front. But recently, around 3 years back, I actually moved my home. I shifted to a place which is very close to office, but still, I carried the belief that I don't have time. That's once again where I challenge myself. I went ahead and actually put in an Excel sheet where I tracked time for every half an hour. Whatever I did, I tracked, only to find out that quite a lot of work which I was doing was either not required, or it did not add value to my goals, or some of it could be delegated. That's an action which I took. So that helped me overcome my limiting beliefs. To summarize, I think all of us at different point in time, different stages of our life, carry these limiting beliefs. So you need a mentor, you need a coach, and I'm not telling that he has to be an official mentor or a coach. It can be your husband, sometimes it can be your own kids, to challenge you. Then you will get to the mode of reflection that will help you grow.
Hmm. And when you said, there are multiple roles that you have changed over a period of time, and they have been contrasting roles. It's not like it's a given progressive role, correct? So even from being a program manager to an agile coach, I think it's in contrast, because what you want or what you carry as a program manager is entirely different to what you would need as a coach. I know, and it's all about change, right? And you seem to have changed quite a bit yourself, and we all fear change. So, how do you make peace with change and you are able to succeed in all the changes throughout your career?
I wish I could have made peace with change, but I think, like all of you, butterflies do run in my stomach as well whenever I actually hear about change. But after some time, I start to think pragmatically. For example, all of us undergo changes, right? So we do our degree. We want to actually do our degrees in great colleges, elite colleges. We want to go abroad and do degrees. All those are changes. So, but then those changes are changes which we wanted, and that's why we are ready to take it as a challenge instead of just as a change. But then, if somebody else tells you that you go ahead and make this change, you would not want to make that change because you don't know what will be the outcome of the change. And also, you say that somebody else is forcing me to actually go through the change, and there is this fear of unknown. So, generally, what I do is whenever I hear about a change, I actually collect more information about the change. So, I think these days many of the companies are undergoing digital transformations, agile transformations. Now first thing is to understand why the leaders want us to go through this transformation. Is it because they want to just lower the cost by throwing away employees, or is it because they are going to better serve the customers? Understand the reason, so that way the change will be, you can actually think about the change better. After collecting the information, you understand the process which the company wants to undergo. For example, some companies actually just change the titles. You had an X title previously, now you've got a Y title. That's fine, right? It's no big deal. Some companies say that you have to go through the whole process, interview process once again. So you need to understand what will be the process, how many stages of interviews would you have to clear, how will you clear those stages, etc. So the second step is obviously to understand the process. The third step is to understand how it affects you personally. For example, if it is a title change, for example, very frankly to tell you, I was in the program management role, and that program management role did not exist when our company underwent a transformation. So it had personally affected me. But how do I want to take it? Am I actually okay to get on to new roles like the coaching role, or do I want to move out of the company because I don't want to move the stream I am in? So this is how you will actually go ahead and analyze how it affects you personally, and then think about the alternatives, right? So do you want to stay back in the same company? If you stay back, what are the pros and cons? Similarly, if you want to go outside, what are the pros and cons? When you actually go through this cycle, then what happens is that you actually shift from the fear of unknown to a position where you can take conscious decisions. So again, taking decisions are not an easy task at all, but it just becomes more willing and more personal now.
Hmm. And what about having goals? Because every year when I start, I would have good number of goals, and then as the year goes on, the goals also keep start receding because obviously you are caught up with something or you are hit by something. Of course, COVID is always there as an excuse. So, uh, how does goals really work?
Yes. For me personally, I think seriously, I have started looking at goals from the past 5 to 6 years. Before that, I used to make a lot of New Year resolutions, and I would be happy if I even complete 10% of those resolutions, and I always believed that resolutions were there to break. But now with goals, I actually look at it little more differently. So I feel that goals are like your destinations, right? When you take your car out, if you don't know where you want to reach, you will not reach anywhere at all. But then, if you know you want to reach to the X location, you can use different ways. You can use Google Maps. You can actually ask people for help. Even while driving halfway through, you can actually ask a passersby to help you navigate to the location you want to reach. So that's why I feel goals are important. And obviously my goals, for example, have evolved based on the knowledge, opportunities and skill set I have gathered over a period of time. What has not changed though from the past, say, 5 to 6 years, is my belief that every individual has immense talent, and when channelized and nurtured, it will actually result in great outcomes for the individuals and the organizations they are associated with. Now, I still believe it. I think that we need to have goals, and if we have goals, there will be people who will actually come and help us achieve those goals.
And there is this another phenomenon of the OKRs, right? So you are still talking about goals, and we have objectives and key results. How do you relate them? Are they same? Are they different? Should I go with goals still, or should I change because I'm agile? I should always look for OKRs. A lot of confusion for people like me, right? So how do we go about this?
I think both SMART goals and OKRs are goal setting approaches. At an individual level, it looks quite similar, but what differs is that OKRs are always derived from the organizational objectives. So, individual OKRs are derived from the organizational objectives, and the time frames are also associated with the organizational time frames. For example, if stability is an OKR for the company, your own goal will also be associated with stability related stuff. Whereas when you talk about smart goals, you can come up with your own goal and try and adhere to it. But what is important in both of it is actually trying to have a realistic. So smart stands for, I think we have actually put it in the workbook as well. So having the defined timelines, being realistic, ensuring that it's all measurable, is what will help us achieve the goals.
Okay, and you have spoken so much about personal agility. Is there something, a kind of framework or something you have created with your experience, about personal agility?
Yes. So based on 21 years of experience and based on the hits and highs and lows I have had, I've created a framework called as a PR Agile framework. PR stands for personal, and Agile is all about agility. That's the framework which I have created. And it has actually worked wonders for me. So I'm hoping that it will work wonders for the audience as well.
Can you please explain us a little bit about PR Agile then?
Sure. Actually, let me share my screen. So, what I will do is at a very high level, I'll walk you through what PR Agile is all about. Um, but if we want to go through in detail, it's a session by itself. Um, Okay. First of all, why do we need personal agility? I believe we have to actually get into personal agility because we want to respond to situations in a timely, creative, and innovative way. We want to be open minded to changes because changes are being thrown from every nook and corner. And then, obviously, we are navigating through the VUCA world. So there are like, uncertainty everywhere. So that's why we'll have to actually understand and implement personal agility. The first step here, which I've defined, and these are the steps which are there in the workbook as well. This is a sequence which I've followed in the workbook, is to define the goals itself. So I think I spoke about this example of you taking the car out. So if you know where you are going, it's easier to get help, and you will be able to celebrate that success as well, that you've reached your destination. So that's why goals are very, very important. The next one, I think Nivarti, you spoke about, having that New Year resolutions and not adhering to New Year resolutions, and that mainly because we don't understand what's the incentive or what's the motivation we get by actually achieving these goals. So that's why it's very, very important to understand. So once you say that, I want to, for example, lose weight. Why do you want to lose weight? What are the intrinsic and extrinsic motivators you have to lose weight? For example, the extrinsic motivators in this case may be that I might start getting compliment that I look wonderful after losing weight. So that's an extrinsic motivator. Intrinsic motivator may be, an example of me learning chatbots, and that gives me happiness, and because I'm actually getting a mastery over it. So that's about the intrinsic and extrinsic motivators. And I think I did touch upon, having to prioritize all the activities which we are doing on a daily basis. Most of us feel that we don't have enough time. Each of us have only 24 hours, and we wonder how we can actually do quite a lot of activities. We've got our passions, we've got work related stuff to complete, we've got home to manage, and we've got people who are dependent on us. So how do we even take out time? And you can take out time if you actually follow this, right? Categorize each and every activity you do on a daily basis into urgent, not urgent, or important and not important. So these are the four quadrants, where you know that you will have to either do it now, or you can do it later, you can delegate it or dump it. I think this is what I followed just 3 years back when I actually shifted my house, to understand where can I actually get more time to do more activities. The next step is to challenge our assumptions or the limiting beliefs. I think I gave you three examples, start of the career, mid career, and towards very recently where I had limiting beliefs. So, what's important is, whenever you're not able to achieve a goal, or whenever you think that, common things like, oh, he's better than me, or he has got more time, I don't have it, or I don't have enough knowledge. These are all limiting beliefs. So, building an awareness acknowledging that all these limiting belief can be modified, and then accepting it, the change, and then acting on the change will actually help you overcome either your assumptions or your limiting beliefs. The next step towards personal agility is to embrace change. I think that's a great model which has been defined by Satir, and that says that each one of us, whenever we actually hear about a change, we go through this cycle, where we had old status quo, and then it's the resistance which come in, and then there is a chaos because you have to move, you have to learn new things, you have to adapt to a new manager, whatever it is. So that's the chaos period, and then it's the integration. You will try to internalize it, and then there is a new status quo. And what we have to do after embracing personal agility is to reduce this period from 1 to 5, right, or 1 to 4. The leaner it is, the quicker we are able to embrace the change and adapt to the new status quo. At any given point in time, obviously, I've put in a formula there for the maths lovers, right? It's C plus R equal to O. That's change plus response is equal to the outcome. You don't have control over the change. For example, last year, I think, Nibati, you also mentioned that we've got an excuse of COVID, right? That's a change which has come in. But how we react to this COVID is left to us. That's the response we are actually giving to this change. For example, last year we were able to, I personally was able to actually, with my friends, we started off a leadership course. I went ahead, gave some lectures, went as a speaker. So there were so many activities which I did just because we were all working from home. Maybe if I was traveling to office, I might not have done so many things. So it's all about how do you use the challenge into an opportunity, and how can you make the best outcome out of it. So change is always a chance to make it big. That's what is very, very important for all of us to note. The last step in this PR Agile process is to reflect and learn. There are some questions. These questions are there in the workbook as well. Really reflecting, it's like a mirror, right? So really reflecting, understanding what went wrong, and then taking actions not to repeat the same mistakes is the key to success. And I think I have put in this thing there as well. While we always talk about learning, what is also important is unlearning. And I think, Nivati, you have written a great book here. So do you want to talk about this book about unlearning itself?
Yeah, because I just believe in that Newton's law, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So, which means that for every learning you undertake, there will be something for you to unlearn. And especially if you're talking about coaching journey that any of us go through, I think most of it is unlearning than learning, because you want to get out of being judging people. You want to be a good listener. That means you don't want to be diverted into your own mind. You want to maintain your presence. So all these elements constitute more to unlearning than learning. And for every aspect of your accomplishments that you look for, I think there will definitely be something that you will need to unlearn, whether it could be habits or your behaviors. And many things we pick up instantly and they just stick with you. And if you really want to get out of those, it becomes very difficult. Many times you are not even conscious about those things, and if you are not even conscious about those, then how you really look to unlearn, right? So we talk about unlearning in three different types, which is conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. What we mostly do is subconscious or unconscious unlearning. And like any other thing, it takes a lot of time for us to unlearn subconsciously or unconsciously, because You are trying to influence your negative behaviors through your positive behaviors, and it takes a lot of time, and many times, because it's not conscious thing and you are not conscious about it, it keeps showing up even without you knowing it. So until unless you have a right mechanism of support which can highlight these elements, you tend to take long time. Sometimes you may not never realize as well, right? So especially in transformation, this plays a very big role, and that's why I focus so much on conscious unlearning, so that your transformation is much faster. I think you can always read the book to know more about unlearning. So uh, going back to your personal agility again, so you talked about 5 steps. So is it necessary that we need to follow it in kind of sequence? I need to start from 1 to 5, or based on my context, I can pick and choose where I am, and what is that I need to look up to.
Correct. I think the latter is true. So you can actually pick and choose the context you are in. For example, right, I spoke about assumptions or the limiting beliefs. So I spoke about a time where I went ahead and I actually did. Put in an Excel sheet tracking my time every half an hour. So that's one aspect to it. But the second aspect is I try to reword my own phrases. For example, instead of telling that I don't have time, I actually started telling myself that I am actually spending time because I am actually achieving XYZ goal. So that gave me satisfaction. That put in a positive vibration into me, right? So if you are facing a limiting belief challenge, then you can directly move to step 3. Or if you're going through a change or your organization is going through a change, you can directly go to step 4 and figure out how you could do it. So obviously it's not a sequential process. You can actually pick and choose which one is relevant for you. But if you are a newbie, if you're actually starting these for the first time, then I would recommend that you start off defining your goals.
Okay, so it necessarily means it's all about my maturity of understanding about this process or framework and how I can fit into it.
Correct, correct.
Okay, and how can I use this framework? Means how can I benefit from this?
So, as I told you before, there is this workbook which we have created. I think you will all get an email from where you can actually download it. And then each of these have got an activity to complete. So, for example, goals, define your mission statement, define your long term goal, and define your short term goals, right? So each of these have got an activity. So if you start filling in, then if you start reflecting, rephrasing, um, that will actually help you a lot.
Can you walk us through the workbook, please, if you have, which is a takeaway for everyone?
I have not downloaded the workbook. If you have it, I can actually walk.
Okay, let me share the screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Yes, now I can. Yes. So the first step is to define your mission statement. So the way it has been organized is that we have actually given information on what that activity is all about. For example, this activity is to define your mission statement, but we've also given you input on what a mission statement looks like, so that you can use it. The next step, I can't. Okay. The next step is to define your goals. Again, here, the questions are, what are your goals, what are your long term goals, and what are your short term goals. And what we have also done, and what I completely believe, is that your short term goals needs to be aligned to your long term goal, and your long term goal needs to be aligned to your mission statement. That's where you will be completely involved. That's where your motivators come into play as well. So once you have this linking, it's more certain that you will achieve your goals. And then once you have defined this long term and short term goals, define what are the motivators for each of the goals, whether it's an intrinsic motivator or an extrinsic motivator. You will also find that sometimes you will actually put in a goal because XYZ is scoring 90%. I also want to score 90%. Rest assured that you will not achieve that goal, because it is not coming from you internally. You're not getting anything there. But if you rephrase it and say that if I achieve 90%, I will actually get admission to this institute in US. Or you say that I will actually, people will praise me, I'll actually be displayed on the newspapers, it gives me recognition, then there is a possibility that you actually achieve it. So that's about motivation. The next one is about milestones. How do you actually know that you have succeeded in your goal, right? Even if it's a short term goal of, say, 1 year, you need to define milestones. There is a step to it. For example, if I have to lose 15 kgs, I can't lose it in day one. So I might put in milestones saying that in the first quarter I will lose 5 kgs. In the second quarter, put together, I would have lost 10 kgs. And in the third quarter, maybe there is a chance that I'll lose 15 kgs. So that's defining the milestones. And then we've actually put in the COVID time management. I think I walked you through the COVID time management when I was walking you through the slides. So, think about what you can delegate, what is actually not required for your long term goals, and then start taking actions.
So when you say that, you're talking about what activities in my daily routine or possibly non-value
Correct.
for those goals or those milestones, right?
Yes. So, for example, some people ask me a question that, somebody is sick, but that is not aligned to my long-term goal. Should I actually do it or not? Obviously,
Hmm.
you'll have to do it, right? So you don't have a
Yeah.
choice there. Or, for example, you're working and then there is a P1, but
Hmm.
that was not defined in your backlog. Do you have to work it or not? You will
Yeah.
have to. So that's where your sense of judgment comes into play, and you will decide what's really urgent and what's really required. You don't have a choice there. But
Hmm.
then watching TV, for example, I do watch TV, not that I don't watch TV, but do I watch TV for hours together? Not at all. Maybe half an hour, just for the sake of recreation, right? Or maybe I might actually watch something which might add value to my profile, or it might help me deliver, for example, some lecture. So that's where you will have to see how we are going to spend that time. So it's all up to the individual. So we don't say that don't spend time watching TV or don't play with your kids. I am a big fan of my daughter, so I keep playing with her. I want to get involved in her day-to-day activities. But then, am I not aligned to my long-term goals? Uh, it's important. Actually, I'm listening my own echo.
Okay. I think it's clear for me. I don't have any echo.
Now it is fine for me as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Moving to the next step.
Yes, and the next step is all about assumptions. I think I spoke quite a lot about assumptions, and identifying your limiting beliefs or your assumptions is the key. I keep telling the story about this elephant which was tied as a baby elephant. It was tied with a rope, but then even when it with a chain, but even when it becomes big, it can actually destroy the whole forest. It does not venture out, moving away from the chain which has been tied to that tree, right? That's a limiting belief. The day it decides to do it, I think nobody can stop it. So two aspects to it. One is that it is really really wonderful if you can identify your own limiting beliefs, but in my experience, some of my limiting beliefs have been identified by others. They have challenged my belief, they have challenged my understanding, and that's where I have gone ahead and reflected and changed my own beliefs.
Hmm. Okay.
The next step is about embracing change. I think I did give you a detailed walkthrough, understanding why this change is happening and how do you want to actually go through this change is very, very important, and how it impacts you is important. The last step here is about, I can't write it. Okay. Yeah. So I think this is again questions related to change itself. It's asking what's stopping me from doing it. How can I actually adopt this change willingly? Because it is proven that once you adopt to changes willingly, you will succeed. So it is like throwing you into a swimming pool or to a river. Once you are inside, you will want to get to the riverbed, right? But the problem is, till the time someone throws you or you yourself throw into the water, you would not want to experience that change. So, how do you want to experience it willingly is the key to success there. And then, if you're still having uh, I would not say problems, but then I think coaches and mentors are a great support. I have been having coaches and mentors to guide me personally as well. So figure out if you need a coach or a mentor, then go sign up for them. And the last one is all about reflection. And I cannot underestimate the importance of self reflection. In fact, even today, daily, I just take 5 minutes before actually hitting the bed to reflect how the day has passed by. What is that one thing which I could have done differently? And obviously, over the weekend, I actually reflect how the week passed by. Most of the times I actually think about how could I have contributed better, how could I have done things differently, and then are the goals or the activities which I'm doing are aligned to the long-term goals or the short-term goals which I'm tracking to. So these are some of the questions there, and please do actually take time out to reflect. That's about the reflection piece. And I think I'll have to thank Nivarti for actually creating this workbook as well. It's come out wonderfully well.
Okay, great. And you are also a coach, and you have been practicing quite a bit of coaching as well. So, how has been your coaching journey so far?
So quite a lot of it actually I've learned it on the job as well. So now with 21 years of experience, I think from the past 15 years or so, I've been managing and leading teams. So I've learned it on the job. But what I've also consciously started doing it from, I think 2015 was the first thing where I went ahead and signed up for NLP, the neuro linguistic programming. I did it under Vikram Dar, And NLP is all about how do you want to actually change the way you think, you view your past events, and how do you want to approach your life. So at the end of the day, whatever activity you do it twice. One is actually you do it in your mind, and the second thing is when you actually go ahead and perform it, right? So NLP gives you that power. So some of the techniques we can use in NLP is about anchoring, uh, belief change, mirroring, rapport building, and reframing our thoughts. Especially the timeline technique has wonderfully helped me. So that's with regard to NLP itself. So NLP I started practicing from 2015, and then I went ahead and did leadership and executive coach certification from Michael Bale. He's from UK. And then I did the emotional intelligence because EQ is very, very important as well. So knowing ourselves. So that's when I was more self-aware. I knew that I was in the right track. So Nivarti can actually vouch for it. Sometimes we start doubting our own capabilities. But then when I actually did that AI course, it helped me reiterate that things are good. And that's where I'm able to help others. The last thing which I've now recently done is that I enrolled for the ICF PCC certification from Sai Ramesh was the coach. ICF is a leading global organization which helps to set high standards, obviously, and it's a global certification. So the plan is to clear the certification. But as of now, I've already completed the course and doing a lot of coaching around it.
Okay, and any support you can offer us?
Sure. The first and foremost is the workbook itself. I believe that if you actually download that workbook and sincerely go through, fill up each of the questions, and then practice it, you will start realizing your dreams. I think Simon Sinek very nicely said that, dream big, start small, but most of all start somewhere, right? So I think that's the first step. And obviously I'm a coach, so if you know what you want to achieve, or if you have questions, or if you have limiting beliefs, anything for that matter, and if you think that I can help you, I'm available. So reach out to me. The only thing I would ask is that, are you really passionate? Do you really want to make change within yourself? So if your answer is yes to both these questions, then I'm up for it as well.
Wow, wonderful. Thanks a lot, Anu, for it was a wonderful speaking to you and listening, your journey and your reflections and also about your framework. If anyone has any questions, you can click raise hand. We can see that, or post your questions so that we can get you on stage. While that's happening, the workbook is completely editable, so you will get a PDF copy so that you can you know use the workbook fully to edit that, and then look to get the best out of the workbook. I think we do have a question. Let us see. Purna, can you accept? I'm inviting to stage. Okay. Okay, let me give him a mic so that he can start. No, he's not able to. From where can we download the workbook? Will you share it through email? Yes, I will share it through email. You should be seeing the email uh, by tomorrow maximum so that you can look into that and start working on that. Puna, I will try and add you again to the stage so that we can try and see if you can join and ask your question. If you look at your screen, you should be getting a request for joining the stage. If you haven't got it, please click raise hand again. I will hand you the mic so that you can ask the question. Okay, I think he hasn't got the request. Okay. Yeah, I think you can ask the question.
Hi Anu, good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, you are Purna.
Uh, nice presentation, Anu. It's very awesome. Okay. Just I want to know. Uh, I have missed a couple of minutes starting the session. What is the PR full form? PR.
PR is personal, agile is agility.
Okay.
And the 5 steps towards personal agility is defining your goals, understanding your incentives and prioritizing it, challenging your assumptions, embracing change, and reflecting and learning.
Okay. Okay. So, what is your convenient time to interact with you via LinkedIn or email or WhatsApp?
You can actually connect me on LinkedIn and we can work out a suitable time.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Anu. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, any other questions from anyone before we probably head to the launch? Otherwise, if you don't have any questions, we will both be in the launch for next 10 minutes, so you can join any of the tables where Anu or myself are available, and you can ask your questions or generally interact as well before we close the session. No questions. Okay, I think we will try and end the session, and possibly we should be getting into the lounge where we can take tables and you can interact with each other or with us. Thank you for joining. It was a great session, Anu. Again, thank you for coming over and sharing your experience and learnings, and look forward to our interactions in future.
Thank you, Nivarti.
Thank you everyone for joining. Have a great evening, and we'll connect again next week. Next week, the next session is with Gautam Gangliani. Gautam Gangliani is the CEO of Right Selection Speakers, which boasts of having Marshall Goldsmith, Jack Canfield, all the great coaches as part of their profile, and they conduct sessions with them. So Gautam will be here next week sharing his expertise on breaking bread and what he has gone through in his life and how he has broken those barriers that he was put up with. And he's again one of the great leaders like Anu to be joining us in the next session. So I look forward to having you all in the next session as well. Thank you everyone again. Have a great evening.
Thank you. I think we are actually getting some comments on the chat, and it's really nice to know that you got good insights, and it was a great session. So thank you. Please connect to us, Nivarti and me. I think our LinkedIn IDs are quite simple. It goes with our name itself. So you can connect, and we can try and share more.
Thank you everyone. Have a great evening.